Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. This is Grant Cameron, and I'm joined by my partner, Sinead Willihan, and she's in Toronto. I'm in Winnipeg, Canada, and today we're talking to Scotland. And my name and last name is Cameron, so of course I come from Scotland. About 200 years ago, my family came over here and started to steal the land from the natives. But I'm here, and I'm originally from Scotland, and Sinead is from Ireland. So we're joined today by Tress Blair from Edinburgh, Scotland, and we're going to talk to her because she's an experiencer. And experiencers, I always say, unless you understand and you talk to the people who are interacting with the intelligence, you are wasting your time in terms of trying to figure out what the UFO phenomenon is about. So I'm honored to have Tress join us here today to talk about her experience. Welcome, Tress.
Hello, Grant. Hello, Sinead. Thank you for inviting me onto your show. I'm really chuffed about this.
Beautiful. I've heard a little bit about your story. So let me start, as I do with all experiencers, is how did you get involved in the UFO world? Why are you in here? What happened to you that sort of woke you up or put you on the path that the rest of us are on?
Well, it's just been a lifetime of things happening to me, and it came to a point a few years ago that it was like I started bursting out all over, that I had to get in touch with people that sort of felt the same way as I did, and I just started and found that there was a few people that were on the same wavelength of myself, and started to discuss things with them. So I've now been sort of coming out, sort of telling people more my story the past few years. I would say past 10 years I've been sort of talking to people about it.
Wow. Who do you think that was giving you the instruction to talk? And do you believe you have a soul contract? Do you believe that you've come into the world to do this?
Well, what I'll do is I'll tell you a little bit about how this all began with me. Now, when I was going back quite a few years ago now, when I was about a year old, I was sitting in my pram, and I suddenly was very aware of my surroundings, and I knew that my mother and my grandmother were pushing my pram. Now, I remember looking around myself at the side of the hood of my pram. It was a creamy colour, and then looking around and thinking, where am I? Who am I? What is this? I didn't feel like I was meant to be there. I felt like that I was in a different body, that I was in something that was not me, and I felt very out of control with the whole experience. And I remember looking up at the blue sky. It was very blue, and just checking it all out and looking around and thinking, what is this place? Where am I? And because I was getting pushed backwards in the pram, I felt like, oh my goodness, I'm out of control. Where am I? And then I must have fallen asleep, because I only remember after that happening that I woke up in my pram in my grandmother's hall, looking around me thinking, where am I again? See my grandmother and my mother talking, and I remember thinking, I missed all this. And then it blanked. It just blanked. Nothing else happened at that point. So that was my first awareness of where I was, what I was. Didn't know who I was. Grant, I can't hear you. There's no sound.
Sorry, where do you go after that? What happens next after that event?
Right. What happened next was, I remember I must have been about 4 years old, and I remember standing at my front door, and while I was standing at my front door, there was a small boy and there was a large man. The small boy had very big black eyes. The tall man had a beard like a human, but he wasn't human looking, but he had this beard. And my house was L-shaped, so it went sort of round in an L-shaped sort of design. And there were 3 beings to the left of me standing. Now I looked over and there was a white object in the front of my garden, which I didn't know at the time what it was. I remember standing and I was staring into the boy's eyes, looking at him, and I didn't know the word telepathic then, but it was telepathic. He was telling me things through my eyes, and I was very aware of the other gentleman being, the man or the gentleman being very quiet, not saying a word, but the boy was doing all the talking. And he said to me that they would be back and that I was never to leave the house, which I will tell you about later on in my story, much later on, because it all came to a point at some point. He says I was never to leave the house. And I was there for a wee while, standing, talking to them and feeling the vibes of it. Now, I was only 4, so I didn't understand it, but I felt like I was very numb. I wasn't moving, I wasn't doing anything. I couldn't move my arms. I was just like a zombie, I would say. Was just completely numb to the whole experience. And then suddenly I was back in my bed. I was sitting on the edge of my bed with my house coat on, which I didn't go to bed in because I was in my night dress, but I was sitting on the edge of my bed in my house coat. I sat there, I jumped out of my bed, I ran through to the living room, so it must have been early morning because my mum had come in from the back garden with putting her washing out. And I had my case and I was packing my case. And I said to my mum, I can't live here, I have to leave. And she sort of said, what's wrong? What's going on? What's the matter with you? I tried to explain to her what was going on, what I had. And she said, you've had a bad dream. You'll be okay. Don't worry about it. It's just a bad dream. And I just sort of blanked it. There was nothing after that happened at that point. But that was my next experience.
Wow. Can I ask a question about, you said that the information was coming into your eyes. Was it coming from the boy's eyes as well?
Yes. I was staring through his black eyes. Yeah. Staring through, the contact was through the eyes. It wasn't the head, it wasn't the face, it was the eyes. Yeah.
You're aware that the 1994 aerial school, are you familiar with that case? With the 62 school kids in Rhodesia? They report the same thing, that the information was coming through the eyes. So it does validate what you're saying.
Right, I didn't know that they had said that, but I do know of what happened. Yes, yes. It's all telepathic through the eyes, as I learned as I got older. Yes.
Okay, so what happens next? So you're 4, and then what's the next event that happens?
Well, from the age of me growing up 4, what happened was I would never wear clothes. My mother would go out and find clothes everywhere, in the garden everywhere. I would not wear my clothes. 4 feet, clothes, didn't like them, didn't want the clothes. No, sorry, don't give me clothes. And I wouldn't eat. I was quite happy not to eat. Not interested in chocolate or anything. And I can remember always trying to tell my mum about things happening with the animals and just what was going on around us, because we lived near a farm, and I would always sort of speak to her and say, you know, this is wrong and that's wrong, and you know, I'd maybe be 5, 6 years old upwards. She took me to the doctor at that point because I wouldn't eat, and they said we should be okay, we can't do anything with her. So that's what sort of carried on through till I was about 10. I remember one occasion that I had an experience. I saw an airplane crash, and I was trying to get people out the airplane. The next day, when I woke up, I ran through to my parents, and I told them, and there had been an airplane crash that evening. I used to have a friend that used to come and sit with me from the universe. He used to be a friend who used to come and sit. We were always going together as children and that. And my mum used to always say to me that I had a secret friend. She would hear me in my bedroom sitting talking to my secret friends, and I would ask for food for them and things like that. And she just, okay, you know, just let me get on with it. And then as I was going back and forward to school, I would sit in school and I'd be looking out the window while the teacher was talking, and I didn't want to be in school. And I would be seeing the ships, the crafts, floating about outside in the sky at the side of me. The crafts would be, there would be one or two just floating about and just taking off, and I'd be away watching the crafts in my mindset that I was with them and I wasn't here, so I would get around. And I grew up thinking that all the other children was the same as me. They could see all the stuff that was going on. And why did they not see it? And I used to get kept, I mean, I don't know if this is part of the story to tell, but like so at playtime I would get kept in because I couldn't get words right, I couldn't write things properly. And later on in life, it was dyslexia, they called it. And, you know, I had problems communicating with people, I had problems writing things down and that. So being a loner, I'd rather be a loner and, you know, sort of get through life that way. And I realise now I can't sort of be a loner anymore and tell as much as I can. So as I said, I never used to get on. I just didn't want to be around children. I didn't want to fit in. I never fitted in. And there was always other things going on from other planets around me, other goings on around me that I didn't need to be with, you know, the human race. So it could be like that. So
Wow.
yeah.
Were you diagnosed with dyslexia?
It wasn't until I was in my high school that one of the teachers had said to me I had this. I think my mum sort of got the teachers to have a look and
that's pretty common as well. That the dyslexia seems to be part of whatever the triggering mechanism is. So what happens next? So you go through high school and what happens after that?
Well, while I was going through, now let me see, before I started high school, I was about 10, 11. My mother took me back to the doctor because she found I was getting very depressed. I was always depressed about the cruelty, the suffering. I could see and I could feel and I could hear everything that was going on. And they put me on antidepressants because they didn't know what else to do with a child like me. So my mother didn't make me take them. I didn't take them, but that was what the doctors had decided that would be the best thing for a child like me to take antidepressants rather than taking them aside and trying to speak to them as we do now and listen to what they have to say about what's making them feel like that. So that's one of the things that. But one thing is that I was going to say was that my mother always told me, she always spoke about how she was taken away in a white helicopter many a times. She used to say I used to go away in a white helicopter. And sometimes she would disappear. I would go in one room and she would be there. Next minute I wouldn't find her and then she'd be back later on. You know, just in the time lapse, she would come back. But we never discussed it. We never spoke about it. We don't know what all that part was about.
Why do you think it was never discussed? Why do you think that it was never talked about or discussed in your family?
Well, my mother was a medium and my grandmother's a medium. My grandmother was an Irish medium. My mother was of the Irish, and it's not the sort of things that they would discuss. It wasn't until later on my mum used to tell me about mediumship and how she saw the people coming around from, you know, being but I think when it comes to UFO and things like that, maybe it's something we don't understand yet herself, and it was just something that never was brought up. I don't know. It's something that we more talk about now, which is good.
Do you remember there being any like a kind of, you know, feeling of tension or, you know, mystery, wanting to know because it wasn't being talked about, or were you okay with it not being spoken about?
I was okay because I didn't know myself. I didn't understand it. I I thought that that was the normal, that we just got on with our lives. I mean, this was in the 60s when it was a difficult time for everybody, you know. So nobody would want to talk about it in the 60s, and a lot of them didn't understand it. I didn't really know anybody going through what I was going through, so it's not something that I would have brought up with my mom. You know, you just go on with your life. Yeah, it's the normal things. Mm-hmm.
That sounds like something that I think many people in this community will be able to relate to, because so many people have had experiences that they either weren't able to talk about with others, or it just wasn't spoken about because it was taboo, or there's so much stigma around it, or people didn't know how to understand it and communicate about it. What was the next thing that happened for you after this?
Well, there used to be, what happened was, as I had been going back and forward to a planet since I was a child, but I didn't realize it because it was I was dreaming. And then as I got older, when I started to get 11 and 12, there used to be this white light that used to shine outside my window, and I would be sort of half asleep, but asleep. And then suddenly I would come back from where I had been, and I would remember that I had been with all the other children. Excuse me. I'd been with all these other children, and excuse me, and we had been learning in class. We used to go, well, we still do actually, I still travel. We would go into class, and we would sit in class, and there would be the teacher, and he would be there, and he would teach us all sorts of things, just telepathic things, and what's happening to the world, and what's happening to Earth, and just all the things that they taught us that were wrong, that was happening, that should be right. And
what did the teacher look like?
The teacher, he was all dark. He was all dark, and he had sort of yellow, sort of glowing eyes. He had sort of glowing eyes, and he was all in dark. And he was you could feel the gentle peace coming from him, but they don't smile. He never smiles because he's there to teach. It's important to them for us to listen. So we have to have the contact through our eyes to listen to what the teacher is telling us. And we sat in circles. There'd maybe be 2 circles of us. And we just sit cross-legged, very quiet, while we absorbed everything into our body, as you would say, from what the teacher would be saying to us. And we would learn how to do symbols, different symbols. I write differently.
Have you written symbols?
Yes. Yes, I've got a book with symbols, and I don't know if you'd be able to see them in the book here. I write symbols. I write differently. We write very fast. I have a different language. I have a different language song that I sing. That's why I'm called Avatar, because of my singing, what I do. We were taught all this because it's a connection on planet. When I sing...
Sorry. The language that you're singing, is that light language? Did you do this for Mary Rodwell? Have you done this? Can you do it Can you do it on call? Can you give us a demonstration of that?
Yes, I can. You want me to sing now?
Yes, yes.
Give me a second. I'll take a drink.
And you've discussed this with Mary Rodwell, correct?
Yes, she's my good friend. Yes. Okay. Right. Kioro kikuramneang kikurum no koramneyo kikikuru kiku. I'm nervous, that's what it is. I can actually do it much better than that. It's just that I'm all over the place. Right. Kora, Koranaya, Kikumna, Kumniwa, Kuru, Kumniwa, Kinayamamehu, Kumnai. I go very, very loud, but
Beautiful.
it goes.
Beautiful. Can I ask a question about the children? You sit in circles. We've heard this before. Have you? How many children would there be? And have you met any of the children that were on board the ship outside of the ship?
I recognize them if I see them in public. We sort of know each other, but we carry on. We don't actually know. There's 6,000 of us on Earth at the moment.
6,000?
6,000 on Earth at the moment. That's all spread out all over the Earth. We sit about 10 in a circle to 12, I think it is, at a time.
Wow.
And there's maybe 2 rows.
Okay. And you mentioned to me that they taught you how to fly the ship. Can you describe that in as much detail as you can?
Right. Okay. Well, there's a difference between the children learning how to fly the ship than somebody coming along and being taken to fly the ship, if you get what I mean, for the first time. An alien abductee. While we're in class, we are given a symbol. Now, this symbol is what we have through the time that we're learning on planet. That's our symbol. Mine's is like a key sign.
Okay.
Now, when we have the key, the symbol, and we've advanced to a point where we've learnt about why we're here, what we're doing in that, we're taken into sort of a room. It's like the function room. It's like where everything sort of takes over with all the equipment and the stuff. And we're taken into the room, and we get shown, it's like we're not taken onto the pod. We call it the pods. We're not taken in the pod. We're taken into this room where we're actually telepathically taken in all the pads and that around us, and the colours and all that sort of thing. So once we've taken in all the colours and the pads, and it's so difficult to explain to you, sorry. Once we've taken in all the colours and the pads in the room, and we've been shown telepathically how to monitor things, then we're taken onto the pod.
And what's the pod? Can you describe the pod?
The pod is a small craft from the actual main craft.
Okay.
Okay. I've drawn some pictures of them, and the thing.
Wow.
So right. So when we're in the craft, when we go into the pod, as we've moved on, we go into the pod. Then we stand in front of the pads, the big pads. There's several of them. These big sort of, they're like rubber, but they're not rubber. They're made out of a different chemical stuff. Pads, and then there's lights glowing around the back of them. So we stand and we have our symbols in our hand, and we have to take on the feeling and the energy of the actual pod. Now the pod's smaller than the actual the craft itself, so there's only so many of us in it. Yep. It's like, this is where we learn. So we stand and we take on the being of the pod into our being telepathically, so that we are one with the controls and what this pod is. Okay. We do that a few times before we actually get to fly the pod. So then once the pod has got to know our energy, and not so much us know the pod's energy, but the pod knows our energy, we can actually fly the pod. And we fly the pod, and it goes at a very, very fast speed. You wouldn't think it was moving. It's so slow, it's so quiet, it's just so peaceful, and yet it flies at such a speed. And sorry?
No, and so where do you fly it? I mean, do you move into outer space, or and is it you controlling it with your mind?
Yes, it's all mindset. It's like you're connecting to the whole source of the pod through your mind set. So hit set it sets into the way your mind thinks. So it's a structure, a whole. You're all oneness. That's what it is. We're all oneness, even if that is different from us. We're all one at the end of it. And we go in the dark. It's always in its dark. We've never been out in the light. It's always black when we go out in it. It's really black everywhere. But you just see the stars. You just see the twinkling of the stars, and you know the glow-ons of all different things in the sky as we go flying past. Yes, yeah, I thought everybody did this. I didn't know, it was just.
Wow. And so how many times did they let you fly it quite often through your life, or how many times have you flown the pod?
Oh dear. Now you're asking. A few times. I can't actually remember how many times.
And did they explain to you why they're teaching you this? Why would they teach you to fly the pod?
They're teaching us all this because they're coming. They're coming to Earth. They're getting ready.
For what?
Well, the human race have made a mess of Earth with the greed, the selfishness, using animals for their own ways, killing, hurting, destroying, not having a thought for anything else but what they want, where the other species have known Earth for hundreds of years, and humans have not been on Earth that very long. And when they came, it was meant that the human beings were to love the Earth, look after it, nourish it, look after Mother Earth, and make things beautiful and that. And like, you know, they've just gone all over the place. And what's happening now is what we see on planet was to go to happen. It's all been predicted. So they're not, they want to save Earth. Earth is very, very important in the universe. If Earth goes, it's a big structure of the whole of the planet, of the universe, that's going to be missing, and the whole balance will be out. So they are just, they won't come, but nobody's going to come down and say, oh, we're going to stop you from doing this or stop you from doing that, because that's not what they're there for. But they are coming, but it's only when the right time happens.
Can I ask one last question? Then Sinead, I think, wants to ask a question. Did they show you the screen? Did they show you the screen?
The screen?
The screen? Did they show you environmental photographs?
At the window.
Okay, you go out the window. Okay, so describe what they show you in the window.
We have a window that shines from the planet right around the whole universe, and we stand and we look down from the window all around the world, and we were shown what Earth should be like, and we shown what Earth is like, the bad and the good. We were brought up like this as children, being shown this all for many years, and what is right and what is wrong, and how they are now putting the star children and all the other children that are highly intelligent, they bring them down now. They've been coming down now for the past 15 years. These star children who have got, they're highly intelligent. 10 years ago, we sat on planet in a group, and we had to do a certain kind of meditation, as you call it. We call it different things.
Okay.
And we wish the children of the earth to start standing up and thinking for themselves to what they have to do on the planet telepathically. There's a lot of telepathic communication from the planets going on into the minds of the children down here. And a lot of them are actually now taking action to what they want to happen, and they're listening. So I am now a teacher on my planet.
Okay. Wow. That's fascinating. And what kind of beings are you dealing with on board the craft?
We've got different beings. We've got the cat people.
You got the cat people. Is that right?
People.
Wow, cool.
Well, they're lovely cat. The cat people are beautiful, very quiet cat people. They like to keep, well, as cats do, like to keep themselves to themselves, but they're very, very gentle creatures. The mantis beings are very tall, very, very crawling around, and you know they ignore you, but they know you're there. They do the work for the greys, and they do the work for the lizard people, and I mean I'll call them lizard people because it's easy for me to talk this way. The greys, the small greys, are quite characters. The boy, going back to the boy that I saw at the door when I was a child, he's with me all the time, Tibran. He's here with me. He'll be watching you. He's watching me. He won't let anything happen to me. He won't let anything happen to my family. I call him the boy, or I call him Tibran. And he's been seen by other people, and they've asked me, who is he? What is that dark identity next to me? And I've had to try and explain to people. So he has been.
Does he ever get any older? The boy ever get any older, or does he stay the same age?
Yeah, stays the same age. Doesn't change. They
don't
get
the other beings the same thing. They don't change. They've always been since you were a child. They look the same.
They're always the same.
Okay.
There's no need for them to get older.
Yeah.
They don't need to get older because they're so highly intelligent that they don't take on the same things the humans take on. So it doesn't kill their bodies, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. Well, okay, you got a fascinating story. I have to have one more question, then I'll let Sinead take over. You hear a lot of people talking about bad aliens, and they're here for doing nefarious purposes. What's your impression? Have you dealt with the beings your whole life? Is there any bad aliens that you think that are there that are?
Yeah, that's one of my questions too. Actually, I wanted to ask you the same thing, but in conjunction with that, how have all these experiences felt to you, like when you're actually in them? So it's sort of a two-part question. Grant's is, I guess, part A. Mine is, how do you feel when all these things are happening? Like when you actually go somewhere with them, or you're in a certain situation with them, what is the feeling? What has the feeling always been? Has it changed? Has it always been positive? What's that been like?
I'm going home. That's what it feels like. I'm going home. I'm going back to my family.
Wow.
And I used to cry when I was a child to my mum and dad that this wasn't my home. I wanted to go home. I cried. I'm diverting a wee bit, but my own family, my children and my partner then, know all about me, how I've grown over the years, and they've accepted who I am, that I am not a part of this world, that I have come here for a reason. I'm an ambassador for my own planet, where I come from. So all my experiences have been fine, but that's not to say I have had mischievous species coming and standing at the bottom of my bed, staring at me, wanting to just get up to no good sort of thing, want to play and annoy me and that, and I've had to tell them to go. I'm in the middle of this species, this lady at the bottom of my bed, and she was holding my foot, doing something to my foot. And I says, "What are you doing?" She says, "We're just finishing what we're doing now. You've had this done so many times in your life, but this is the last time we're doing this." They were taking some blood or something, I have no idea. But that's the thing, and I went, "Oh, okay then," and it's just a part of me, and I've never been frightened. I think when a lot of people get taken at different times, they have different experiences, and I can't really speak for other people because I don't know really how they felt or what they went through. But because I've known and experienced this all my life since I was a baby, I see everything differently with them, I suppose. See, I was taken on the planet a few years ago, and they stood me on the edge of the planet looking down on the universe, on everything. And I said to them, "Why am I down here?" And they said that it was my choice. It was a choice that was given to you, and it was a choice that you had to take, and you had to go down there because you had work to do, and you had to leave. And I can remember it all came back to me when I stood there on the end of the planet with it, and I remember saying to them, "If I go down, I'm keeping my ears." So it's the one thing that is same is from where I am. I've got the same ears, and I'm proud of my ears, so it makes me feel like I'm at home. So yes.
So I have a couple of questions for you. One is kind of harkening back to maybe 10 minutes ago when you were talking about being in the classroom situation, and there's a teacher there and you're learning, and that you were writing in symbols. Your communication was in symbols. So my question is, have you seen the symbols that you were using to write? Was it also thought, by the way, or was it just writing these symbols?
Writing. Yeah, you have them in thought, but you write them down as symbols, all different ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you recognized those symbols anywhere else in any other context? Because I'm thinking about, for example, when people, going way back to Roswell, that material was found with symbols on it. That's something that's been said by many people in many different contexts in this field, and also that people see symbols around them, or they're given symbols by beings, and these symbols are significant. Have you seen them anywhere else in your life, maybe even here on Earth?
I have seen symbols that have been on the planet, maybe in jewelry or other places, but it's like something I look at and I just leave it. I don't acknowledge it because I can't see the symbol that they got came from. It's there, so it would be a long investigation, so I just know it's there and just leave it.
Okay, I didn't want to lead you at all. I was actually thinking, but I didn't want to say this as in case it was a prompt of some kind. Have you ever recognized any of the patterns or symbols in crop circles, for example?
There's one symbol, and it's like the circle. It goes round and round and round and round. Just keeps like I can't remember what you call it. I used to do that all my life on paper, and the crop sing, the come in the crop sing circles, and that's the. See, I've got all the things written down. That's the symbol of where you go round into the other part of the universe. If you start at the beginning, it takes you right to the middle. That's when you go into the middle, you go straight into the universe. That's what that symbol means.
Okay, and then thank you. And my second question, and when, by the way, the next time you go up in a pod, please take me with you. That sounds amazing. I want to go. So just thinking about what Grant was asking regarding, you know, have you ever experienced any bad or evil aliens? You know, have you ever had negative experiences with them? And you answered that in a different kind of way. Have you ever been tested or challenged or evaluated in any way during any of these experiences? Because it sounds like they're trying to teach you things. They must want to know, like, have you ever had the experience of them trying to figure out if you were, you know, if you're capable or if you're worthy, so-called, of receiving this information and being able to use it? And I'm asking you this because that's also something that some experiencers have said, that they felt like they had to go through some kind of challenge or test to prove that they could handle the information, that they could use it, that they would know what to do with it. Have you had any kind of experiences like that?
No, I've never had an experience like that. I can't think. Everything's been, I'm not saying it's all been smooth, but I've been challenged with anything that they've given me to do, or challenged me to, you know, ask me to be something. I think my challenge is having had to live on it for so long. Not that, yeah, but you know, just that it's been a challenging life I've had, trying to cope with true life, living on Earth. So being transferred back to my planet, which I realised over the 10 years I was my planet. My name was Wushwa, and I had a daughter up on the Supreme as well. And it's very much real. I mean, it's real. The whole thing's real. It's just when we come into this world, we're a program. So when you come into the world, you're born, and you're programmed by your parents to grow up and to be a part of what they like, eating, working. I know you have to work, I know you have to make money, but so much more to us. There's so much more to open your mind up to learn about so many things that are going on around your space, for us, your energies, to the fact if you meditate, and you meditate very deeply, you can be in control of your thoughts, and you can talk to the beings from other planets, because that's how you meet them. Meditation, and you can think. My beings have a lot of energy beings that I've got to know over many years. I just need to call them when I go out into the garden, and they'll come in and we'll sit and we'll talk and discuss things. And yeah, it's all a part of it. Mm.
Can I ask about the planet? Is it in this dimension, or what is the planet you go to? Where is that?
Sakruma's just at the back of the sun. It's just round at the back of the sun.
Okay. And you mentioned to me, I think, that you had a near-death experience. Can you talk about that? Because a lot of experiences have near-death experiences.
Right. I was it was a good few years ago. I was 25, and I got rushed into hospital with an emergency operation. I had to get 7.5 pints of blood, and it was touch and go. They had to get the consultant out of her bed because nobody could stop the bleeding. And just after my operation, I suddenly was thrown into this place. I was just thrown into this place, and I was standing looking through this tunnel. Now, the tunnel was all made out of stone at each side, and there was like water on the ground round to the left. The water went round to the left of the tunnel, and to the right of me there was like a big open tunnel where there was lots of people standing, but they had their backs to me, and I wasn't allowed to see their faces. So I remember these three, which I've got drawings of, three little beings outside the wall of the opening, and I wanted to go through the tunnel, and they said to me, "Why are you here? You've got lost." And I said, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just standing here not knowing where I was." And they said, "Well, you shouldn't be here, because if the man sees you, he may not let you go home. Go back. And anyway, you've got so much work to do, you have to go back. You've got so much work to do, you've got to go back." And I looked and I says, "But I don't know how to get back from this place. I don't even know where I am, you know." And so I turned around, and it was just like black treacle. It was just so black. And they said to me, "Go, you have to go back now." And I stood there, I turned around, all of a sudden I was thrown into this blackness. And it was like I was choking, trying to get through this darkness to get back onto to where I was. And I remember getting thrown into my body, my left side. I came in my left ear, I got thrown in. And I remember there was a woman there, but I don't know where she went or why she appeared or where she went. And then I remember the nurses coming over and saying to me, "You're all right." But I had the most terrible high-pitched squeal in my ears for about a week after that. It was so high-pitched, and then it went away. So that was my experience. But just a few years after that, I did start up my own charity because I knew that was what I was told to do.
Tell me a little bit about the charity.
My charity is to do with looking after people's animals that are disabled and terminally ill, people that are got social needs, that don't have families, and we do all sorts. We make sure that all the pets are okay for them, and do a lot of transport.
That's amazing work. That's such valuable work. And that actually relates to the next question I had for you, which was, how have you integrated what you've learned and what you know, either from past lives, from this life and the experiences you've had in it? How have you integrated this knowledge and experience into your life on Earth, into things like your chosen career, which you've kind of just alluded to, maybe where you live, the people you've chosen to have in your life, you know, what you've chosen to do with your life? How have you integrated that with your life here on Earth?
Well, I know that I'm here for a reason, and I know that I'm here always since a child to teach everybody the rights and wrongs of what they're doing on Earth. But a lot of people wouldn't actually listen to me. I can't remember all your questions that were going on. I've never eaten an animal. The only time I ate an animal when I was a child with my mum and dad, as soon as I realised it was wrong, because our planet Spears, they don't eat animals. We don't eat our friends. They are us. We're all one. You know, their eyes are our eyes. They bleed like us. And this is what's so wrong with the human race. And this is what I've been trying to say for so long. To, you know, bringing down all that we learn to Earth to try and say to human beings, I know I'm a human being here, "You're doing this wrong. Please listen. You know, take time to listen. It's so wrong. These animals are highly, highly intelligent. We've got a planet up there with all the animals on it. That's where they go. They have their own planets. They telepathically talk to you. When they die, they go back there, and they experience so much down here in pain and suffering. And it's not meant. It is not meant at all. You know, it's just, I mean, me growing up all these years, seeing this and knowing all this, has been really quite hard to sort of sit back and do. That's why I became an animal activist, and, you know, tried to stop all the cruelty over the years. And
I noticed that you have elephants on your shirt. I I'm biased completely because I absolutely love elephants, always have. Do they have a special meaning for you in terms of what you're talking about right now?
I absolutely love elephants. I can communicate with elephants, even through the pictures. And I see the suffering. I look into their eyes and I know what they're feeling. I know what they're saying, and they're crying out for help, a lot of them. But with what we are doing now from our planets, for all these children now, the hybrids that are coming down. My daughter can't come down because she's too fragile. She wouldn't live. She couldn't survive on Earth. But there's a lot that are coming down, and through them, through us talking with them and sitting, and what they're learning, they're coming down now, and they're talking through us, through the real higher minds, to bring Earth to what it should be. And this is, I mean, I know this virus is, it's awful, awful what's happening. But you know, this is what we were trying to say so many years ago. Things like this are going to happen. Please listen. You know, the human race has to listen now, because with it happening, we have to change. The whole thing has to change.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, my final question to you is, can you describe your concept or your idea of God, the world, based upon what they've taught you and what you've learned? How do you think the world actually works in terms of coming in and going out, and why are we here?
Okay. Well, we don't have a God on planet. We don't have a God because no one is God on the planet. So we don't ever actually talk about one God, because we talk about us all being the one person. We're all the one energy, we're all the one being, and we all have to learn as one to do the right things. And that's what we're bringing onto the planet. And could you repeat the rest of that?
It's just your concept of what is life about, why are we here, that sort of thing.
Right. Well, Earth is a learning zone. Earth is a place where a lot of people are sent from other planets to learn on the Earth, so that when they go back, they will should have had more knowledge of what was happening, but they've not got the knowledge. They've not actually expanded their mind. They've not actually got advanced in what they should. So they'll go back, but they won't have learnt anything, and then they'll realise when they go back that they haven't done what they were meant to do, and then they'll have to redo it all again, because they're not going to you know. So Earth is a learning place, but it's meant to be a beautiful place for everyone to spend that time on, to nourish it, to look after it. We're given the animals on the Earth to look after, to know that they're one, everything's for a reason. And yeah, nothing dies. Nothing
Beautiful.
dies.
It's a beautiful message. Beautiful message.
Yes,
you got anything else, Sinead?
I don't, except that I love what you just said. And, you know, that's something that it's so heartening to hear from so many experiencers, you know, that it's not just about us as human beings or beings in human bodies. It's about this planet, this incredible, beautiful, valuable, precious planet that we live on, and all the living beings that are on it, and that the planet herself and all the beings have equal value. So it's just wonderful to hear you talk about that as well. It's a really high level message, and one that we can hope everyone will get on board with as well, especially in a time such as this. Today is March 29th, 2020. We're just at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic around the world. And it's been a topic of conversation in this community that's an opportunity for us all to reevaluate and reflect on what is meaningful to us and how to come together within it. So thank you very much for what you just said. And it's really great talking to you. Your experiences are fascinating.
Thank you very much. Lovely speaking to you too. Great.
I really appreciate it. Is it possible you could maybe provide us with the key, like the symbol of the key that we can put into the presentation, or any other things that you would want to, you were talking about certain drawings. If you want to provide them, we will put it in the video for you so people can understand what you're talking about in terms of symbols and stuff.
Right. How would I go about giving you them?
You can send them by email. Do you have them on your computer that you can send them by email, attach them to email?
I've actually got them. See, I've got them like in my book. That's the portals.
Hold it up a little higher.
Higher? Yeah.
They're portals in the sky that people go in and out.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful.
And that's all the sort of drawings that I've done.
Have you got one of the symbols? Your key symbol? Oh, there you go.
That's the pods, and that's the mothership.
Oh wow, beautiful.
See
Okay.
that? That's the children. You see, that's the children when we're under the white energy being.
So you're outside during that event, or is that in the ship?
Yeah, that was one. It was outside.
Okay. Okay.
See, that's these are all like this one. I've not coloured it in or anything. But
Hold it
that's
up
what
a little bit higher. Okay.
you go through that when you pass over. That's the tunnel.
Oh, okay. 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 I understand. Beautiful.
So quick. There's a lot of other things that I haven't actually said. That's some of the symbols.
Oh, okay. And which one is yours? You talked about the key.
I see the circle you were talking about, the
circle,
turning circle. I can see that symbol there.
It's here somewhere. Oh dear.
Do the symbols also have power, like emotion, or is it? Some people talk about the connection to thought and emotion and feeling and.
It's actually a part of you. Yes, it's actually a part of you are as you get taught on the ship.
Yeah.
That's the man.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I don't have the symbol. My symbol's not in here. I must have put it on something
and
else.
the man has a hat on. Is that correct?
Yes. And that's the watchers.
What is that again?
The watchers from space who watch through the sky all the time to what's going on Earth.
Oh, okay. Okay. Beautiful.
That's the watchers. And that's a lot of the symbols there, different ones.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah. But I don't have the one with a key. I don't know where I put it. It's not in this book, so I'll need to look that up.
And everybody's got a different symbol, correct?
Yes, everybody has a different symbol. Mine's is a key shape. Though I'm not saying that maybe someone else will have a key shape like mine, but it'll just not be used the same way as my one would be used. And my species are called epitoras. Epitoras.
That's the name of it?
That's the name of my species.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow.
Epitoras.
Wow. Interesting. There's something I was going to ask you and I forgot. Are you going to do it in a book, or if people want to have a conversation with you, if they come through me, are you willing to take people's questions and things like that? Because you may come across, I know there's other people who have the cat people. I know that there's actually a Facebook group with the cat people. So are you willing to take questions, and are you doing a book?
I'm writing my book slowly. I've been doing it for the past year, just writing everything down, trying to get as much as I can so that I can get my book done in the next year or so.
Beautiful.
So I'm doing my book, and I've got Echo Whispers up and running just now. So I did that last year so that people could just sort of share you know, their messages and just keep them aware of what's going on, that sort of thing. I didn't want to have it all about UFOs, Echo Whispers.
And
I
what's that
wanted
called again? Echo what?
Echo Whispers.
Oh, Echo Whispers. Okay, so that people can follow you there.
Yes.
Well, if you need any help with the book in terms of knowing how to do it or how to publish it or whatever, we can help you do that. We help people because we'd like to get your story out as much as possible because I think you have a very important story that I think
Yeah.
people need to hear. They've given you a mission, and I will do, and Sinead will help. We'll do whatever we can to help you fulfill your mission.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That'd be fantastic. Yes.
Beautiful. And we have our Facebook. We have our rabbit hole meetings. Hopefully, you can attend our rabbit hole meetings and share your story there with all these people. We have like 50 people that come on. They're all basically like you. They're experiencers, and they'd love to hear your story. But we'll put your video out. We'll give you a link to it. And if there's anything you need, please let us know, and we'll help you wherever we can.
Is that every Saturday your group's on?
Every second Saturday or every month. But I have your email address, so you will get an invite every time there's a meeting. We will tell you when it is, and it's usually it would be about 6 o'clock Saturday evening your time, 6 or 7 o'clock Saturday evening.
I'll watch it for next week then, and I'll hopefully be able to come on.
Beautiful,
Great.
Tress. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time and for your information. I really loved it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tress, very much for talking to us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope with this I've been able to maybe help a few people, you know, that have sort of a wee bit about doing things and getting stuck.
And down the road, we can maybe do some of your photographs. You've got some other stuff that you haven't talked about. Maybe down the road, we'll do a second part where you can talk again.
I could get all my photographs if you let me know. I'll get them all sorted.
Okay.
Because I've got quite like different photographs. I've got one of the black hole, you know, in the sky.
Wow. Wow.
And when we actually blew it up, it was all different colors.
Wow. Interesting.
Yes, it's a lot I can tell you.
You've got a lot of stories. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.